This is not a normal Claude Code session. What you're seeing here is Claude Code spinning up a dynamic workflow, which means it's written its own orchestration script, and it's now fanning out all of this work to different agents. At the moment, we've got 351 agents running at the same time, going through all of these different items. Basically, for each of these items, I've asked Claude to analyze the transcript of a video and apply very specific rules for generating new title ideas. Now, this is something that would not be possible with a normal Claude Code session, even if you try to use subagents. So with Claude Code Dynamic Workflows, Claude will write its own orchestration script, which will then run tens to hundreds of parallel subagents in a single session. I do want to mention that this is not just useful for coding tasks, it's also useful for non-coding tasks. Think about it like this. You pass a prompt to Claude Code, which is going to touch a lot of different files or action a bunch of items. So maybe you want to respond to a whole bunch of emails or support tickets, or in my case, audit hundreds of YouTube videos. For each of those items, it's very much the same prompt. We set the rules on how Claude needs to process each item, and Claude will fan out hundreds of agents to perform that work for you. And by the end of the session, the results can be merged into a final report or a final code base or whatever that final output needs to be. Now, dynamic workflows are now generally available, so all of you can start using it. Now, in this video, we will have a look at when you should use dynamic workflows and when you should avoid it entirely. So we'll go through all the best practices together. Well, I think the best way to learn dynamic workflows is to build a new workflow that you can use in your own applications right now. In order to start a dynamic workflow, what you have to do is actually tell Claude Code explicitly to use a workflow. My advice would be to do something like this. Start your prompt with ultra code, followed by use a workflow for the following. Now we can tell Claude what we want to do. I do not recommend using dynamic workflows for very simple tasks. If you know for a fact that that task can be achieved in a single session, by all means, rather implement it in a single session than using workflows unnecessarily. The reason is that workflows are expensive. Keep in mind we're kicking off multiple Claude Code sessions, and each of those will have their own system prompts and context and, all the tool calls, everything available in it. So you are going to burn through a lot of tokens really quickly. Dynamic workflows are really great if you've got a task that you need to repeat, at scale. So there's a specific task or action that you need to perform, and you have to do that like tens or hundreds of times. In that instance, this is what it's perfect for. So our example is still relatively simple, but I do think it's going to teach you how these workflows work. So let's do this. Audit our project for security issues based on the OWASP Top 10. Now, if you're unsure of what that is, the OWASP Top 10 is a globally recognized awareness document published by the Open Worldwide Application Security Project. It outlines the most critical and frequent exploited security vulnerabilities in web applications. So instinctively, I think you can see where I'm going with this. There are 10 different categories that we have to check for in our project. And for each of those, it's identical, right? We'll have a description of what that category is or that vulnerability is that we have to check for. And then we have to go through the code and do something with those results, like write it to a report. Since we're repeating the same action 10 times, that to you should signal a workflow. Whenever you've got that repeatable set of instructions that you have to go through at scale, that is when you can use something like dynamic workflows. So really at this point, explain what your agent should do, how it's supposed to split off the work. And then I highly recommend adding this final line. Start with a small batch so that I can verify the workflow, perhaps the first 2 checks only. Always do that. So hypothetically, you could have 1,000 things that you want the agent to do. So it's a really good idea to first, check a very small batch, make sure the workflow is doing what you're expecting it to do before continuing with the, greater run. Then we should tell the agent what the final output should look like. If the agent needs to refactor code and make code changes or create pull requests, tell it to do so. For me, I just want each of these agents to write their reports to a file. So I'll just say, write all findings to this folder and, whatever file convention I want to use, .markdown. If you need human in the loop in your workflow, then dynamic workflows are not a good fit for you. You have to be extremely clear with your requirements up front and verify the workflow like how we're doing it now with like a small test case, and then go into it with the understanding that this workflow will run without ever stopping to ask your permission. Also, if you want your agents to make code changes, you have to just keep in mind that if you've got 100 agents trying to make changes to the same code base, there could be some contention there. So multiple agents trying to change the same file at the same time. So just think about your strategy if you do that. If you do run into, issues where these agents are conflicting with each other, you might want to add some instruction to get the agents to work on different branches or even work trees. And then once they've completed their work, the agents can try to merge the changes back into the main branch. And if everything was done correctly, you should see Claude call this workflow command. And if you scroll down below the input box, we can see the actual workflow. If we press the down arrow, we can actually go down to the workflow. If we press enter, we can see all the different steps in this workflow now. We've got this recon step, audit, verify, and report. And currently we only have one active agent. What you can also do is if you press the right arrow, we can go to those specific agents. And if we press enter, we can see what that specific agent is currently busy with. If we want to go back, we can press the left arrow. That takes us back to this phases overview. And if we press escape or left again, it will take us back to our main conversation. Right, the recon step just completed, and now it's busy with the actual audit. So it's checking A10 and A02. Those are different checks within the OWASP top 10. So basically we have two agents running in parallel, each checking for a specific security vulnerability. All right, so our agents just completed their audits. Now we're just verifying the results. And now each agent is writing its own report, which we can actually see in this folder over here. So let's just go over to this one. And this gives us a lot of valuable information. So we can now just kind of take this, give it to Claude and ask it to make this fix, or we could include the changes in our workflow. Either way, now that we've verified that the workflow is doing what we want it to do, we can save this workflow so that we can reuse it in the future. Let me just show you what that actually looks like. Let's go back to our conversation. And in order to save a dynamic workflow, simply press /, then run workflows. If you run multiple workflows in the same session, you'll be able to see all of them over here. I only have one, so I'm just going to select my workflow. This gives us a little overview of what happened, so we can view it again. But what we can also do is press S on the keyboard, and now we can save this workflow. So let's actually just call this OWASP audit. Well, I'll just keep batch. Then let's press enter to save this. And now this workflow has been saved to our Claude folder. So within .claude, we can go to workflows, and there we can see our workflow. So we can now share this with our team members. We can, we can add it to our other projects. These are very shareable. So let's say we wanted to use this workflow in the future. We can actually start a new Claude Code session. Then we can say, please use the OWASP audit workflow. And that's really all we have to do. We can see that this workflow is now running in the background. The main agent is waiting for it to complete, and we can see it down here. So if I press the down arrow and enter, we can see that this workflow is currently running. It's really that simple. If you want, you can download my workflow. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. I also released a new course, which is completely free. You don't have to pay a cent, nothing. It's called the 7-Day Builder Challenge, and this teaches you my RAMP workflow. This is the exact same workflow I use with any coding agent to build real-world apps. So check it out, it's completely free. I'll link to it in the description as well. Again, thank you for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe for more agentic coding tutorials, and I'll see you in the next one. Now go and build something lekker.